on me. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I sat down with Big Brother. Don't like those RFIDs. Got the blues about my freedom. Got the blues about tyranny. I got the blues about my freedom. Got the blues about tyranny. I sat down with Big Brother and the national ID. Don't want a chip in my wallet, chip in my car. And if I want to travel, it's nobody's business how far. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I said shame on Big Brother, always tracking and tracing me. Don't want a chip in my mother, chip in my wife, a chip in my babies. Stay out of our life. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I sat down with Big Brother. No more slavery. Play it for me, baby.
This country starts early. It works hard. It stays focused. It keeps moving. It stands ready. And it carries the weight. Strong coffee for a strong nation.
This is all you ever hear about in this country is our differences. It's all they ever talk about. Politicians and the media always pushing the things that separate us, things that make us different. That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that they, the rich, can run off with all the fucking money. Fairly simple thing. Fairly simple thing happens to work. Anything that's different about us, you know that's what they're pushing at you. Racial differences, religious, ethnic, national backgrounds, jobs, income, education, social status, sexuality, anything they can do to keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
Why do you think politics feels more like a team sport than democracy?
Because that's exactly what it became. George Washington warned people about this a long time ago. He called it the spirit of party, and he said once political parties took hold, they'd start serving themselves instead of the public. And that's exactly what happened. Loyalty goes to the machine, not the country. They protect the brand, protect the tribe, protect the donors, protect the power, and the public gets whatever's left after the fundraising and the damage control. That's the bargain now. You cheer for your colors, they keep the scoreboard lit, and everybody acts like the game's what matters. Washington understood that once parties get strong enough, they stop asking what's good for the people and start asking what's good for the party. And once that happens, democracy turns into maintenance. Maintain the power, maintain the loyalty, maintain the illusion.
To the Army and Navy and the battles they have won. As to America's colors, the colors that never run.
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Welcome everybody back to Talking with Conspiracy, number 106. We got the great Ryan Dalton with us tonight. It's gonna be a fun one tonight.
What's up, Ricky? Good to be here, man.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you being here. The chat's already going crazy on Rumble and YouTube, so it's gonna be a good one. Yeah, we were just talking beforehand and talking about it's almost 20 years now we've known each other, so
it's crazy, man. Where'd that time go?
It goes by so fast, man.
Yeah, I was like, might have been a blue belt when I met you.
I think so.
Long time ago.
Now you have a black belt in just about everything now. Just
Collect those things like
Yeah.
Pokemon cards, man.
That's it. Jiu-jitsu black belt, judo black belt,
Yeah.
Krav.
Yeah.
You got your Krav too, and
Yeah. I tried to get all three before I turned 40, and I just made it by year and a half. So,
oh, nice.
yeah. Yeah. I guess we've known each other since the KMD days. That was probably when we started training together. So I guess I was there. That was probably 15 years ago. Maybe not 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. Close enough.
Close enough. Yeah,
Close
it's
enough.
crazy. Still,
Yeah.
it flies by.
Yeah, man.
Had some fun wars, just swinging on the mats.
A lot of mat time. Yeah, I liked your intro. That Carlin is he just nails it, man.
He did a lot of stuff. He really did. It's a lot of stuff he really did, especially that last little video talking about the parties and once they get enough power, they just stop doing for the people and decide to do it for themselves and what benefits them. It's like, man, that absolutely spoke to what's going on in the world today, and so I was like, I gotta add that. Luckily I find these little clips. And I'm like, hopefully it won't get copyright. And I was like, well, all right, I'll put it in. If it don't get copyright, I'll leave it in.
Why not?
It's like the song, like
Yeah.
that song I put in there at the beginning. It didn't copyright, so I'm like, all right, it's now the new official song here.
Yeah. Did you have that made? Because that's really good.
Oh, that's actually Jimmy Vaughn sang that.
Oh, is it really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he sang it on this Austin City Capitol steps actually years and years ago, and he wrote it and everything. I just pulled the audio out of the video and just used it, and I was like, well, they might copyright this, especially as long as it was, and I haven't been copyrighted yet, so.
So far, so good.
Yeah. No, that wasn't made, or that wasn't me. That was Jimmy Vaughn.
That's Jimmy Vaughn. Yeah, he nails it, man. Those lyrics are on point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I guess if we would tell our listeners, tell them like some of the thing. I guess a little brief background, like some of the things you've been working on and what you've done, and it's a laundry list, really. It's amazing all the things that your accomplishments that you've done. But it truly is such a young age still. You're not old, especially who you're talking to. If you talk to really old people, they'll, oh, you're just a baby.
Yeah, I get that still. So
Yeah, I do
yeah.
too. It's like I was like, I'll be 47 in a few weeks. Well, you're just a baby. I'm like, well, maybe to you because you're like 80, but okay.
Yeah, you're double my age. Yeah, yeah, no, man, I feel like I'm in my prime, man. And so, yeah, my background, I'm a recovering lawyer. So I started out doing that, and it wasn't really. I enjoyed what I did, but it wasn't super for me. And then I started a company, and it was in human trafficking intelligence, and built that and sold it to a company I later worked for. But in between, I went to the State Department and was a federal agent for 5 years. And I began investigating human trafficking cases. And then after that was on the Federal Crisis Response and Tactical Team. It was like a flyaway overseas crisis response team, and did that for 3 years. And then I worked as a contractor for Rewards for Justice, where I learned how to manage intelligence on reward programs. And that's really where we got the idea for the reward campaign for the Epstein Proof of Life. And after that, moved back home, and I've got like a couple businesses that I run here in Memphis. But our latest project is Closed Horizon, where we created a marketplace for answering any question that people have direct knowledge for. And our first campaign is Epstein isn't dead. So we believe that the evidence of the Epstein files, show that he left that cell alive, and we created a reward to prove it. So that's like 15 years in a nutshell.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a pretty amazing. I seen you on Shawn Ryan and like all the proof, and how deliberate and everything you are with all the details and stuff, and making sure you're not, you know, any way for somebody to kind of debunk, oh, that's just BS or this is that. You really are. I know you're leaving out certain like newer stuff I've seen, so there's no way of, contaminating. Of course, if it's the bad thing. It's but like so much happens like with conspiracy theories and stuff like that happens all the time. Where it's like you have all this good information, and then all of a sudden somebody throws in a sideways theory that's just preposterous, and then all of a sudden everybody groups that whole theory in that because of that one little thought of just some random person, But
Yeah, they'll poison the well with that.
Mhm.
It's a strategy that the secret keepers, will use. And I love these podcasts. I love coming on here and talking to you about this stuff and the people that have brought me on, because there's a lot of people that are truth seekers, and I truly believe that there's really two classes of individuals in American society. There's the secret keepers and then the truth seekers. And truth seekers are people like you, people like Shawn, people like Andy Stump that had me on, and Daniel Mercy and came on her podcast earlier. And just a lot of people that believe they're being lied to about so many things. And so how do we really apply analytical rigor to figure out what's true about the world so that we can make sound decisions about how we want to live in society? And so it's fun being on podcasts like this, man, especially with someone like you who's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, it's been fun. This has been a fun journey. I've been like a lot of this stuff. I taught myself how to use all this stuff and how to video edit and use Canva and all of it. I was like, I didn't know how to do none of this stuff. I just started. People were like, "Hey, you should do this." I'm like, "Okay," and I was like, "All right," and started doing like Spotify, just recording stuff. And they're like, "You need to go live." I'm like, "Okay, let me try that." And then now it's pretty cool. It's been a fun journey, and I've met a lot of amazing people. A lot of them are in the chat right now on the Rumble, especially, and on the YouTube, and a lot of them have their own shows and stuff like that. And so it's been a pretty cool. Like as the group, we work together trying to make the tide rises all ships. So that's our kind of our thought process. So we're all like, hey, we work on each other. Like, hey, somebody has a guest out, somebody might have a guest. Like, hey, this would be a good guest for you, and vice versa. We try to help each other, and we try to watch each other's shows and participate. And luckily, when I had my 100th episode, I had a whole lot of them actually come on and talk with us and talk, and it was really fun. I had, I think, like 12 different people come on and just talk and ask me questions and all kinds of stuff. So it's been fun, man. It really has. And it takes a lot of time. I didn't realize how much time it would take to to do some of this stuff, but it's been a rewarding journey for sure. And it's important to get the truth out there, and just having places that's open to talk about it. It's just not scared to be, well, I'm gonna get canceled or I'm gonna do this. I'm like, I don't care nothing about that. I'd rather have, the absolute truth, the best, we know how to, we putting out all facts. It's like, hey, look, and I tell other people all the time, like, hey, fact check me, hey, check this stuff out,
Yeah.
But, it being able to put as much as truthful information as I can out, and let people look at it and see. And I talk about it all the time because it's one of them things, because you never know. I forget what the other term for it is, but I like the Billy Graham methodology method of it. Billy Graham preached to millions of people. Millions and millions of people he brought to into the faith and stuff like that. Well, somebody preached to Billy Graham, and I bet he didn't have the following he had. So that one person there influenced somebody that went to millions. So I don't care if I get monstrous huge or anything like that. It'd be kind of cool to look back and say, well, and find out later, because it'd be cool to find out, like, hey, because I heard your show, I ran with it. I've I've had kids come up to me and tell me that, they started doing martial arts because, conversations with me and stuff, and still doing it kind of thing. So,
Isn't that the best feeling when someone picks up jujitsu because you inspired them in some way? Like, that there's enough people I feel like you meet in gyms now that either start training or stay training because they meet someone in the gym that's like, I want to be like that guy. Like, that's how I was. You watch some of those guys, man. Like, I remember, dude, Zach Barber?
yeah, that name sounds so familiar.
He trains over at, I think he's at Memphis Judo. I don't remember, but he started at Borders with me, and he was a purple belt, and I came in as a white belt. And I was like, that guy's a wizard. Like, that guy knows so. And this was this was 20 years ago, and I was like, that guy is a wizard. He just made up that move off the top of his head. Now looking back, like our jujitsu, like from then was just so elementary. Everyone's, not just everyone's was. It's evolved so much, But I looked at that guy and I was like, geez, he's older, and I was like, that guy knows. And so I see him every now and then, and I don't think I ever told him that, but he's like the first guy I watched that I was like, I want to be like that. I want to be like good like that, like good at jujitsu,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I had Jim Oldham and all them, and he used to laugh at me. Ricky, I get the Doris again. He pulled her there, and he would talk to me and choke me out and stuff. It was great, and just having that, and it is a great feeling. Like, people like, hey, you influenced me, and and it's not even like the goal or anything like that or a pat on the back. It happens. Like I really have. I went on some jujitsu podcasts and stuff, and they asked me that question, and I was like, it's a humbling feeling, when you have parents or people come up to you and like, hey, you saved my child's life because you opened this door, this path, for him to be able to grow and prosper, because you can take that negative energy, which that's my favorite narrative on it. It's like you can take that negative energy of they're mad or whatever, how it is. Like you can have a bad day and you can walk into the gym and grab one of your partners like, hey, let's spar, and they understand like, okay, he needs to work some stuff out today, and we're gonna work some stuff out together. And I mean, I've had, like, even recently with some of my guys, and I've had to spar them real hard or watch them just beat on the bag, and afterwards, like, you feel better, and yeah, I was like, okay, it was worth it, man. If it that helped you work through that moment in your life. I mean, I don't care about getting punched or whatever, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah, jujitsu's been there for me during tough times, man. Like jujitsu and just rolling hard and sparring and having those people that you trust to go hard with. Like I always leave the gym and I'm like, yeah, that was a great experience. I feel a lot better, right? And I don't know what I'd do without that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It gives that. I know when I was had a moment where I wasn't able to train as much as I wanted to, and I could tell, like, if I missed several days, I could tell, like, I'm getting aggravated quicker. I'm just getting a little edgier. I'm like, what's wrong with me? And then I'm like, oh, never mind. I haven't released all this excess energy, anywhere. I haven't used it as a positive, and I'm like, all right, I got to go train, especially when I was like, when I worked for the asphalt company, we put 269 in. When we first started laying asphalt on that thing, it was 85, 90 hours a week trying to get it opened up and get it far as we could, and so I was like, man, I can't train. So I was like training just on Sundays for a little bit for several months there, and until I was able to open back up and train more, and which I could tell I was a little angrier then, for sure.
Yeah, my wife is like, she noticed when I haven't been training. She's like, you need to go to the gym. Like, she just like gets me out of the house. Go to the gym. Go, go roll. Go fight people. Go strangle someone. I'm like, all right.
You're on the edge. Get away.
Get out. You're on the edge. Yeah, man.
That's awesome that she sees that and sees that, the positive, aspects of you doing that. Some people kind of, you know, well, you're wasting your time doing that, or, you know, kind of like things. I've seen people, you know, spouses and stuff kind of frown at their other one, you know, just because it's like, you're taking that time, whatever. But that's good. Your wife actually understands, like, this is what you need to be a good person and grow and release some of that energy, you know.
Yeah, it's mostly just like to not be a dick. Like she knows that I've gotta go like get energy out and like fight someone, and I just reset. Like my nervous system resets. I'm like, all right, I feel better.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So she knows that, and she's super supportive.
And that's amazing. And the chat is rumbling. I'm over here. I got two screens up. I got
Oh
two.
yeah.
I got two 32-inch TVs I got in front of me. So one's got the chat and one's got the over here. And they're.
I want to pull it up. Is it on Rumble?
Yeah, it's on Rumble. Yeah, most YouTube's a little bit. They've done a little bit, but the Rumble chat is going to be. It's always where it's more active.
Oh, very cool.
And they're really smart, and I tell you, like, a lot of them are really smart people in the chat, and they'll ask the best questions and stuff like that. They'll have them, like, they'll pop up and say a question. I'm like, man, that is a good that's a great question. So I answer, you know, if I have somebody on and stuff, I'll for sure answer it, and I'll try to ask it, you know, because I don't know everything.
Yeah, I like this person saying men need to build things or fight. Like that's real. Like that you got to get out that creative energy. And that's the cool thing about jiu-jitsu is you can apply that creative energy and fight. Like you can be creative while you're fighting. Like that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu, I think, is you get to apply creative energy while you're on the mats, you know.
Absolutely, it's a game of chess, you know. It really is. You know, there's always that joke, or you know, see the chess pieces when you're talking about jiu-jitsu, but it really is. It's human chess because if you move the wrong position, especially when you get up, you know, to our level of, you know, you rolling with black belts and stuff. It's if you put yourself in the wrong position, you're done really fast.
You're cooked. Yeah, you're cooked.
Absolutely, you're just like either you're going to be backpedaling and just fighting for your life the whole rest of the round, or you're just getting caught. You know, it's one of them things. If you make that one little small adjustment, one small move, you know, and it's amazing the technical part of it. People don't understand. They be watching it. It's like, man, how can you do this? How can you do that? Like, you know, they don't understand the little nuances of it all. You know.
Yeah, you know, it took me a while to even, as I was doing it, to enjoy like watching it on TV. But now, like streaming it, flow grappling, or just sitting around and like watching it to relax, I learn stuff all the time, and then I go to try to apply it, and I remember, oh, that's a world-class grappler that did that move. Like, there's a reason I got to like struggle through this for a little while.
It just takes time. You just keep working it, you know.
Yeah.
What I tell my guys, like, you know, I'll show them and like, well, it's not working. I was like, that's because everybody in the room just seen the same move for one, you know, two, and you haven't drilled it 1,000 times, or you haven't tried it 1,000 times. You know, once you do that, then it'll become water, then it'll be flowing like Bruce Lee, you know, always said.
Yeah. Flow like water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, did you check out epsteinsanddead.org? Did you look at it?
I did. That's it's really well played out and placed, and I like it, and like the information you have on there. I'll share it real quick. Oops, wrong button.
Oh yeah. You got pulled up.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, this is for everybody watching it. Epsteinisn'tdead.org.
That's it.
And I know we got the ones in the chat will start dropping links in a second. They'll save it to their their link list. They're awesome. I got Sweets and Indy and several others will drop links all night long for other people's channels and plus stuff like this. So
Yeah, we make the case that he left that cell alive, and we lay out the evidence. So if you click on the evidence, he is alive right there. We make a timeline. So I was a formal federal agent, and a good investigator thinks in terms of a timeline, right? Like, when did all this happen? What order did it happen in? What was the sequence of events here? So what we do is we walk the reader through this information and start by saying, hey, not all of this is weighted the same in terms of evidence. You know, like you go to a crime scene and you see like, you know, a smoking firearm and a footprint, right? Like both of those are valuable pieces of evidence in their own way, right? But you weigh them differently and for different reasons. So we say that basically and say, it's up to the reader to determine if this is persuasive or not. And not all of it is going to be like a home run, but it in totality creates a picture. Each piece of evidence creates a story. Some of it's a really big deal. Some of those pieces of evidence are substantial. I mean, a lot of it is, I think. And there's pieces that are, you know, they are true, but they don't carry the same weight as some of the others. On the whole, though, it tells a story, and it's a fascinating story, and it's a story that no one's talking about. It's a story that is deliberately concealed, and has been deliberately concealed for a really long time. And that's the story of the third option, that either he killed himself or he was murdered, which everyone argues about, which I believe is deliberate, or he left that cell alive, which no one talks about. And that's what the evidence shows.
yeah, it just all of it just don't make any sense. You know, you turn around and it's just too many coincidences. When you have, you know, if you had one coincidence, it'd be one thing, but you have numerous coincidences of the new guards and the cameras going off and all this stuff. And I know we'll get into some of the other evidence too, like you have. It's, you know, I like to say in the word quinkadink, you know, it's, you get a few quinkadinks, you know, but there's just so many. It just compounds. And once you start compounding coincidences, then there's something there, you know,
Yeah.
you know, I like the saying, if you see smoke, there's got to be a little fire there. And and you got a brush fire going for sure. If,
Yeah.
you know, what's going on and what it is. Like I said, none of it makes sense to me, and none of it makes sense except for the option that he was alive. You know, he was too important to be dead. He had too many connections. And I kind of like to, I don't know if you want to talk about it or not tonight, but you know, like the link to, you know, Hillary Clinton's brother had passed away not too long, you know, right before he, you know, Jeff passed away, and they were very similar looking. You know, they weren't identical, they weren't twins or nothing like that, but for a grainy picture of just a glancing glow or whatever, you could use him as a for sure a prop to go, okay, the possibility is there, you know.
Yeah. So the photos that we have of him leaving the Metropolitan Correctional Center are interesting. Those photos depict someone on a gurney. Now, is that a real person? Is that prosthetics? Is that cleverly disguised live individual? I don't know. What we do know for sure about the person leaving the Metropolitan Correctional Center is that whatever that person was that was there are biometrics that don't match. So you can identify a body based on the ear structure. the nose structure also is distinct. It's not identifiable. It's not like a determinate biometric factor in itself, but combined with the ear, it's a meaningful point of analysis. And his body, or whatever body was being wheeled out of there, had a different ear structure and nose structure than Epstein's mugshot. The other weird thing about the body leaving is there's an FBI memo that talks about how there was a staged decoy, where in their own words, they say that they took a blanket and put it over boxes to divert the media. The plan being for the media to follow this fake decoy body away from the Metropolitan Correctional Center when the real one could be moved surreptitiously without any kind of observation. There's strange things happening there. The decoy is written in FBI documentation, but we don't observe it. No one takes pictures of this. What we do have pictures of is someone's body or some prosthetic or someone that appears to look like him, but with enough irregularities in the facial structure that you can make a pretty good argument that that's not him that was on that gurney coming out in the photos taken by the New York Post.
Yeah, especially we look at, we see a lot of the footage and stuff from several years ago, like, especially the mask technology they have. The masks are amazing they got now, and that's what we're allowed to see. We as I know on the group, and stuff, like, we know they're 20, 25, 30 years ahead of what we actually see, and what we know, like the technology of all kinds of technology that the government and all them have. We know they're far ahead than what they're allowing us to see. And we know in the mass technology, they've been working on it for a long, long time, and it's really, really amazing how far it's come. And so if that's what we're seeing is, it's very easily to put, have an Epstein mask made. We're talking about the power and the money that people have that are influenced with on this list. A very expensive mask is not, in a whole charade of, pulling them out. Like I said, they built that was the weird thing. They built a weird little box, coffin-like box, and put some blankets over it, and they did. They sent it away for the media could chase that, and then they took the other body to an undisclosed location. It all smells terribly.
It does, doesn't it? And what's interesting is we never would have known any of this but for the files being released. It's this watershed moment in American history. It's this moment that we've never gotten a peek behind the curtain, ever. This is the first time we've gotten a peek, but real one. Because people like us have speculated about some of these things, like, there's power structures that are run by old banking money, like the Rothschilds, and these old oil and banking barons that have managed to engineer reality for the common people like us. But until now, that was a lot of that. You couldn't put like real hard evidence behind. It was kind of circumstantial, right? But now we have this email from Epstein to Peter Thiel, did you know this? His name is an anagram for the reptile.
I have seen that.
Isn't that funny?
It's Peter Thiel, so there's so much weird, but yeah, go ahead.
Dude, I don't know. That's wild to me, the reptile. Anyway, that's kind of an aside. But so Epstein emails Peter Thiel and says, as you know, I represent the Rothschilds. Seemingly trying to draw up some investment in tech, right? Is what the context of the email is. And so we know in his own words that he is some kind of broker for the Rothschild family. And we never would have known that but for these files coming out. Like, we're the first time we're able to see behind the curtain and see that whatever this power structure is will use these tactics to establish control of our society. And that never until now have we been able to have that level of insight into some of these tactics and behaviors.
Yeah, he's still trying to, hush hush about like all that stuff where he was, where he was on the list. They have that was the other thing I was sitting there thinking about. I was like, man, there was two things I was going to like try to bring to the conversation too. Have you seen the site where somebody took all the emails and made a Gmail site out of it?
Yeah, man.
And it is Gmail.
Jmail.world.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting for the ones that hadn't seen it. And then you turn around and I seen somebody talking about something, so I put in Peter Thiel's name, and there's thousands of emails either against him or mentioning him, excuse me, in those lists. And it's like, like, why ain't more people talking about this here?
Yeah, you have a picture of like a whole class of people who are all buds. They're all friends. They all hang on. Like your Carlin video in the beginning. You've got a big club and we ain't in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you really see that in the emails and the files. You can go through it. You can Google these people's names and see like, man, at the top they're all friends. Like, there's not multiple parties. There's not a left and right when you get to the top. It's all one party. They're like Trump hung out with these people. He hung out with the Clintons. He hung out with these people that are his like alleged enemies. But it's all theater. It's all fake.
Absolutely. That was one of the things I was like calling out like in 2016, like when on Facebook and stuff, I got a bunch of my posts taken down, whatever. But that was one of the things. It was like they were buddies. They were at each other. They were at the wedding. The Clintons were at his wedding and stuff.
Yeah.
And Melania, everybody's always talked great about. He was always on all these, late night shows. He was on all the TV shows. He's all over the place. No one's ever really said nothing bad about Trump, except for when he started doing this. And it just kind of showed it's just a circus. And then the whole thing happened with with Bernie, and they started, even if he won a state, they were still giving the delegates over there to Hillary. You could tell it was all a sham. It was absolutely a sham.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like people are waking up to this for the first time, though. Like I feel like I'm having conversations with my family, my father-in-law or my dad or whatever, like who would have never asked questions about some of these topics before. And now I feel like for the first time they're starting to think, oh, maybe this isn't all really what it appears to be, or what I've been told, or what I've been fed. And that's kind of exciting, actually. I think that's an exciting time to be an American, where now we can look at America for what it really is, and where there's real problems that before were concealed and hidden by these people that manage these power structures. That's exciting. I think it's a really exciting time. It's a scary time too, but it's an exciting time.
Yeah, because there's more and more people opening up, more and more people actually sitting there having this conversation and seeing what's going on. But I think the scary part in my mind is that, you hear some of the rhetoric, what can we do to, bring this back in? We don't want these people talking about all this stuff and having these conversations. They want us divided. That's why, the media does what it does. And, as soon as it can, if it's some kind of racial difference or sexual preference difference or whatever they can to put the division and to get people talking and bickering on to distract all the other stuff going on. And it is a weird time because it's like it's almost like they're throwing the whole kitchen sink at us right now. We got the alien stuff going on. We got the Iran war going on. We got all this other stuff. Like, Israel's bombing just about everybody in the Middle East. And and so it just keeps adding up more and more weird stuff. They keep on, oh, look at this over here, look at this over here. They got
Yeah.
MK Ultra hearings going on right now.
Yeah, man.
I just
Yeah.
think, what is going, like, why all this at one time right now? And then this is just an overload. I think
Yeah.
people can only take
Why?
so much information.
Why now MK Ultra? Like who? I'm not even paying. I know that the hearings, but I'm not paying attention to who got these going. I mean, that's. You know this. Like you probably know about MK Ultra for forever. Like, this MK Ultra, that got like didn't that get like accidentally released? Like
Yeah,
those files.
they actually happened to find some of the files, and it whistle broke. Whistleblower actually found some of the files, and they had destroyed a lot of them. And to this day, there's a lot of the stuff we don't know. Like if you go down the MK Ultra rabbit hole, there's a bunch of offshoots of MK Ultra. There's many, many, numerous, and then
Yeah.
some of them are just numbers. And if you go down the list, you see there's numbers, and it's like blah blah blah, and then it'll show like how many people, and that's all you know. You don't know what they did to them, and we
Yeah.
know like that doctor in Canada was doing the same stuff, and who was a terrible, terrible human being. I can't think of his name right now, but which he was trying to rewrite the people's memory and try to rebuild it with using trauma. So like if he found something, he would say certain things, and then when he found something that make you kind of cringe and twitch a little bit, then he would just and then he'd do it again, figure it out, then he'd put it on repeat and just wreck your brain. And he thought he could actually just tear somebody's mind all the way down, and he could put whatever he wanted to in it, and it didn't work, and it ruined a whole bunch of people, and it's horrendous what they've done.
Yeah. Kaczynski was a MK Ultra victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, he was one of the brightest people. He had like 170 IQ, math, PhD, I think. I mean, obviously later became the Unabomber, but when you bake someone's brain with LSD, like what's going to happen?
Yeah, make anybody that if you put enough torture or manipulation or enough drugs, you can make anybody that's you can turn a saint into a demon. Really, they can do whatever they want to. They can flip them upside down and make them what they're not.
Yeah.
Which of course, there's speculation on that. He might be an FBI agent now or something.
Yeah.
You've seen some of the photos and stuff, I'm sure, showing. It looks very similar. Some agents that look very similar to him.
Oh, that's McVeigh, right?
Yeah, that's Timothy McVeigh. You're right.
Yeah.
It's all, I'm blurring.
Yeah. McVeigh was the one that has that FBI agent that looks just like him. I mean, if it's
that's
not
Oklahoma
him,
City bombing. Yeah.
that's Oklahoma City. That resemblance is wild. And I think that like on some level, people who run successful operations like MK Ultra and these mind control experiments or child trafficking or blackmail operations, I truly believe that they rely on an epistemological framework of basically getting people to feel that that's too crazy to be real. And they filter everything through that, like the people that are presented with this is the conspiracy, right? And when they're presented with that information, it has nowhere to fit into their worldview. Like they don't know how to process that as knowledge. And so like, I think about Epstein. So Ricky, if you go back to like, I don't know, man, 2017, and you said to someone, hey, there is a billionaire socialite and philanthropist who is bringing children to an island in the Caribbean, and they're raping and eating these kids in order to blackmail the world's elite researchers, politicians, presidents, people would look at you and be like, no way, man. That's crazy. No way. That's crazy. Oh, and by the way, they also do occult sex magic rituals, right? People would look at you and say, man, that's like crazy stuff you're reading on Reddit or 4chan or whatever. And later we learned this to be true, right? That's what happened. And that's not even conspiracy. Like, that's what the documents show. Like, there's like consensus on that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that on some level, either it's deliberately engineered to include some of these elements, like the occult or rituals or like Baal worship or some of these crazy things that you see in there. It's either included out of sincerity, where like that's actually what they do, or it's included to make it seem even crazier, so that when people talk about it, they're immediately dismissed. Like, nah, wait, man, there's no one doing that. That's crazy, right? And on some level, I think that these operations, MK Ultra and the, Project Stargate and Mockingbird, like it's hard to believe like a really, really, really big thing. Like we don't have a place like we don't have a compartment for it. Like a really big, wild, like, holy shit, the CIA is doing what? Like, we don't have a place for that. But like, if you have like the smaller ones, like, Iran-Contra or whatever, like, oh, they're bringing crack into inner cities to enrich themselves. It's like, oh yeah, I can see that, right? So there's just like these kind of like degrees of which people will find things plausible. And I think that it's deliberately made to be almost so crazy and so obscene that when people talk about it, they're just instantly dismissed outright, and it's to their advantage, the people that behave and act this way and do these conspiracies.
Yeah, I was talking with some folks the other day about, and it's kind of like it's like a test, like how far a rabbit hole can you go, and then they turn around and they brought up said something about LSD and stuff like that, back in the day, and was talking about watching an old movie and turn around, and I was like, the CIA, bought all the LSD and then took over the hippie movement and influenced all the movies and the music and and there's many books on it, and it's pretty well. If you look for it, it's well known that that's what had happened back in the day, especially if you want to look at declassified. But it's one of them things like a lot of people don't like. Oh no, they look at you like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. Why would the CIA do that? But money and power. It's people get killed for $40. I know a guy got killed for $40. Guy owed him, shot him right in front of his mama's house. Like, swear it on everything. And over $40, and turn around like, what are you going to do when it's trillions of dollars? What kind of influence or whatever you would do? Like, hey, look at this amount of money we can make, if we do this, instead of allowing these dealers or whatever, these other people, hell, we can make that money. And on that aspect, it makes sense that they would. Like, oh, we can make all this money. Why do we want to allow everything to, and then that turned into such a greed that they, overthrew nations, and which we know they did. We know they went down through South America and overthrew just every nation down there at some time or another. Many nations around the world. It's one of them things. It's, how big a rabbit hole can you handle? And like you said, a lot of people can't handle. They don't have that compartment that just, you start throwing little stuff at them. If you throw something big, they want to put their head in the sand and bury it, and before they like, it can't be true. That's not real.
Yeah. I was talking to someone about this earlier today. You can bring all the facts and the evidence. We built this timeline for EpsteinIsn'tDead.org, and we bring claim and source, claim and source, claim and source, and we show our homework. We back up our evidence, right? Our claims with evidence, rather. some people, man, though, they're not going to accept something they're not emotionally prepared for. You know? Like, they don't have the ability to process the emotions around accepting that as true. Because if you accept that as true, you have to reevaluate like America, history, foreign policy, elections. I mean, it's a deep rabbit hole, right? It's a super deep rabbit hole. And if you're not emotionally prepared for that, it's easier to just say, nah, he died in that cell. And that's the end of it. And you go about your day and you know, go to your barbecue and clock in and clock out your job or whatever. And I understand that. Like I understand that, like, as a, you know, busy father and, you know, husband, and, you know, I've got responsibilities, and you get to the end of the day, you're like, okay, now I've got this emotional, like, discretionary emotional energy. Sometimes you don't. And I'm going to use that to like choose to feel bad about things that I could just accept that, oh, if he died in that cell, I'm not going to feel bad, right? And we've come up against this. Like, we've come up against this sort of spirit of choosing to bury your head in the sand around hard ideas. And I think the podcasts like yours and people that are truth seekers serve a extremely valuable purpose in society, to continue to force people to look at some of these things and say, is this the world you want to live in? Is this the kind of world you want to live in, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you want to. Is this the world you want to live in? And this is the ones you want to leave your grandkids and, you know, great grandkids, and or if we, you know, we can speak out and make change. And some people are like, well, there's no point, but, you know, there's still power. I always say on here is like, you know, you gotta have hope. You know, some people are like, man, I'm just, you know, I'm hopeless on this. Like, you gotta have hope.
Yeah.
You know, without hope, you know, it's, you know, you're done. So you want to have that hope, you know. But we see even now, like, you see some of the AI data centers. You know, they got a lot of power and powerful people pushing and putting these things in everywhere for whatever purpose they have for them. You know, everybody has their theories, but you do see some of the ones get shut down. You know, because the people push back hard enough, or even the ones that got put in and the people that voted it in. So even though all the people said no and the politicians said yes, and then they all got voted out. You know, bipartisan. You know, it was like, this is one of the things that, you know, it's good to see. Like, you know, there's no party lines on that. There's no red and blue. We need to throw them red and blue colors out the door, and, you know, and it's just people, and we need to see that, and we do have an impact. We can have an impact on some of these things, but it's not going to be easy.
Doesn't it fire you up though when you see people start to question stuff? Like, you see it start to take hold, and people asking like, oh, wait a minute, like, this doesn't match with this thing, and you can see the wheels turning. And that's it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. That's exciting for me. I think that is a major shift in what's acceptable to question. There's a lot of things you couldn't ask questions about some of this stuff, man. Like, you couldn't. I remember even in 2016, I went through a basic special agent course, and my buddy was riffing on me because I was talking about Tower 7. And he was giving me a hard time, and I was like, bro, that thing didn't get hit by a plane and it fell in its own footprint. Like, what is that? And they just like, that's crazy, no way. But now, some of those same people, there was like 12 people in our van when we talked about it. I've had conversations with some of those same people, and they're like, yeah, man, there might be something there. And that's an exciting place when people are people who historically didn't ask really any questions about this stuff decide, like, something's wrong, and I'm gonna ask questions. And I think that we're starting to see some tides turn. And then you get to Gen Z, and they question everything. I mean, they're incredible. They ask questions about everything, man. Like, they don't trust anything because it's all fake, right? Everything's AI, and everything is, just completely manufactured. And that's the world they've grown up in to a large degree. And so, they're not like my parents' generation that were if like Walter Cronkite is on the news or Dan Rather, like they didn't ask any questions about that stuff. They just like absorbed it. Like that's the truth. And now we know with like Project Mockingbird and CIA programs to put CIA officers inside news stations that it's all like propaganda from the top. But now people see that and they know that like, oh, this is like, I feel like we saw this in our lifetime too, like as in our coming of age and into adulthood, like the change from accepting everything on Fox News to just a healthy skepticism now. And I think that is really healthy for society.
It is. I mean, and I think one of the things that it opened a lot of people's minds is during the 2020, the pandemic,
Yeah.
because, we've seen it, and now we having the social media, we're able to see, we're able to put all together and like see that all these people are saying the same thing. They're reading the script.
Yeah.
50 different news things, different cities, different everything. They're reading the script, and I think it really did show that hey, there's something going on. There's something's not right, and we do need to question all that. And it is good to see like more and more people are questioning, everything, just because we need to ask him questions. It's okay to ask questions. It's supposed to be all right, but the boomers and stuff. I watched an old video, and it was a really old video, and it was talking about like, you were brought up, you're not supposed to question authority. You're not supposed to correction your teacher, your doctor, your news anchor, your politician, anything. All these adults and everything had your best interest in hand, and you were just supposed to go along with it. And that's how people were brought up, and now people are finally seeing, more and more like, hey, wait a minute. Do they really have our best interest in hand? And especially you start looking and digging and seeing, have you seen that old movie, Distinguished Gentleman? With Eddie Murphy? It really shows. That's my favorite movie to like put some people on, and you get a chance. Like I said, you can watch it on YouTube. I think you can watch it on YouTube for free. But Eddie Murphy went to office because of name recognition. Because the politician had passed away, so he just he put it on there, and he was like, well, "That's the name you know." So he never showed his face through the whole thing. He got elected, and then he got in there, and then it started. One of the scenes absolutely sticks out to my mind, and I've shown the video several times. And he was one of his advisors was sitting there, and he asked him questions like, "What do you think about this?" And he said, "Well, what do you think I should think about this?" He said, "It don't matter." He's like, if you think this way on this vote, I got money from this, this, and this. But if you feel this way, I got money from this, this, and this. And he asked a question. He was like, how does anything get done with money coming from all sides? And he said, it don't. That's the beauty of the system. And I was like, they made a movie showing exactly what the hell's going on, but nobody talks about it, like,
showing
really
it to
amazing. But the whole it's a good movie. But like, that line there is like, that's the beauty of the system. And they did that on purpose to, cover their ass and make them money, which people start looking into that, you walk in as a broke politician, and that makes $170,000 a year, and all of a sudden you're worth $10 million.
Yeah.
Just some good investments. That's all it is.
Yeah,
Right?
you just got good investments, man. They just invested their stocks in the right way. Yeah, they. You ever heard of autopilot? It's a app where you can trade based on the highest performing Congress people.
Oh, okay.
And so,
I heard the one about Pelosi where you could
yeah,
trade what Pelosi does. Whatever she does, you can trade her things.
yeah. And so that's actually the portfolio that I chose. And it's up, it like hovers around like 22 to 28%, which, you can expect market returns like consistently across decades at like, confidently like 7%. So it's like 15% higher than typical returns in the stock market. And that's just, publicly traded, or like she's disclosing her trades, and people are following along. And, on one hand, it's like, are we desensitized to the corruption? Like, should we be getting out the guillotines? Right? Like, I look at it as this novelty of like, oh, cool, I can trade my stocks like Nancy Pelosi can. Like, I'm going to, make money like she does. Is that the right reaction? Or should the reaction be like, we should get out the guillotines and solve this problem in society? Like, we can't have this level of corruption and be okay with it. I'm not trying to get your channel like banned for advocating for violence. I'm not calling for violence, right? Like, that's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is, like, on some level, how much do we put up with, right? Where data centers and corruption in stock markets and Epstein controlling our politicians. And I think that we're starting to see people who just wanted to live and let live starting to take a position on some of this stuff. And that's interesting.
Yeah, because they got to, and it's one of them things like, I think that's one of the problems we've gotten comfortable. We're just laid back, and as a whole, American people are just laid back, and we're just let live, whatever. You want to do this, cool. You want to do that, cool. Whatever. It don't affect me. But more and more finally waking up, like, this stuff does affect us. Down the line, it's going to affect us. I seen somebody post something the other day about like all the people on the list and all these elites and like what they should do. And not that I condone this, or maybe stay on YouTube. Maybe if not, I'll be on Rumble. But it was like talking about, like, we need to bring back Vlad the Impaler, and just make an example of all of them. Maybe, I don't know. We do need to make it some kind of way, like, hey, look, this is not right. This is not what we want as a whole. We don't want we don't want our money going to these terrible places. We don't want we don't want children eaten and disappeared. You're already hearing horror stories coming out of Venezuela right now of children missing, and of course certain foundations are already down there doing a bucko job, and it's just like everything just keeps on doing, the wheel just keeps turning, kind of thing. Somehow, as a whole, we gonna have to find some way to throw that wrench in there and stop this terrible stuff that's going on.
100%, man. Yeah, the tools that are available to us now are things that, like, 10 years ago even you couldn't do. Like, just having a podcast. Like, this is, before YouTube, you didn't have anything like this. It's evolved since then. Like, we're using Riverside, and like there's tech made for podcasting, but it used to be so centralized in to a few news networks that they told you reality, man. Like, they dictated reality. This is how it is, and this is what's happening in the world. And I look back now and I look at history books differently. I'm like, wait, what do you mean Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, owned the history book companies that it was involved in McGraw-Hill Publishing? Like, what? Like, what does that mean for my understanding of the world and history and American history and global history? And like, why did the Bolshevik Revolution get left out of this history textbook? Like, you start to question things from all the way at the very beginning of things that maybe you used to just not even think twice about. And I think that having forums like this where you can come on here and you can talk about stuff like this and you can get an audience and people will engage with your ideas, they can't control that. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. Like the technology is just so accessible. Even if you banned all of it, it's going to pop up on platforms in the dark web or whatever, right? Where you can actually like talk without any kind of censorship. And that's probably like, I would think the single greatest thing that's happened to finding truth in our lifetimes is this sort of democratization of media.
Yeah, I think the only thing they're able to do right now on that, like I said, they can't stop it. They can't have people come on here and stop like, hey, we're having a conversation, but they can throw money at certain people and try to get people's attention span. Like, okay, you only got so many hours a day, and there's so many podcasts, there's so many shows. Well, let's get their attention on these people that we control, that we in our pocket. And I think that's the only viable thing they can do because, they know that the news, especially like CNN, MSNBC, all that stuff, the only people playing that is in nursing homes and hospitals and stuff. They're not
airports,
and that's all their numbers they're getting. Nobody's turning that on. Home. And a lot of people are truly, even up to, the big boys of Fox News and all them, a lot of them turning that stuff off, because they, like I said, during COVID, they saw that they were being lied to, and especially now with all the hearings coming out with Fauci and all this stuff. Now they're really seeing that, hey, they were lied to all them years.
Yeah. Yeah. The old school method of controlling the narrative is no longer workable anymore. And so now it makes me wonder what replaced that? Like, what are they using to control narratives now? Like, how real is, like, my Instagram recommended algorithm? Like, how real is that? Is that is it actually curated based off of my interests? Where I like click on jujitsu videos and car videos and I get served that stuff up? Or like, is it driven by people who are able to shape public opinion because of the content that we receive? And I think that's probably the case. I think that it's directly driven to favor people who are able to benefit from us engaging with content that they prefer.
Oh yeah, I mean you can see that like when you're scrolling and doing your doom scrolling or whatever, and like I'm with you, it's like car videos or silly videos, and then all of a sudden you get some stuff like, what is that? And why is that in my feed? And you stop on it. Well, you just screwed up because you stopped on it, and now it really thinks you want to see this, and so it starts putting more of that crap in your feed. All it takes is just you pause it on a video for a few seconds, and then now it's part of your algorithm. And so they do that to, push your mindset. Well, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. And it's, it's not organic. When we know, like, they come out several years ago, like, talking about all the bots and bot farms they got. And like I was like for the gym, I was spending money on Facebook. I'd buy ads and stuff like that a little bit. And then like they came out and was talking about, most of the interactions on Facebook ads were, most likely bots. I'm like, well, I can't teach bots jujitsu, and so I'm not spending my money here no more. I'm gonna put it somewhere else because there's no point me spending money here and the only thing that's getting likes or whatever, or just interactions and views, is computers. It ain't gonna do me any good, and it is kind of hard to tell what is organic, what it isn't. Like I said again, I'm glad there's places like this and like the channels that I follow and friends on here, that have that organic, bringing people everybody has, bring a friend, like, hey, come over, check this out, and then they come here, and then like, they can go through my description and see lots of like the friends of the show and stuff like that, and they can turn around and, oh, look at this show. Like, when we look in the chat right now, you got Jason Barker. He's part of the Knights of the Storm. They have on Saturdays. They have a great show on Saturdays on Rumble, and the Algorithm. He has a great show on Tuesdays on Rumble, and so many others. And Indy and has an open platform where she allows people to just come up, and you have like a platform like sometimes 7 or 8 people just discussing ideas, and having that, being able to do that organically is so much better, than just that. I think, I don't know.
Yeah, people want real. We crave real and authentic, especially in the age of AI and deception, and nothing is real. And I get advertised something, and I look at it, I'm like, this is made with computers and some GPU sitting in a data center in Silicon Valley. Like we want real so bad, man. Like, people want authentic conversations, hard topics, honesty. You watch Theo Vaughn at all?
Clips.
Yeah, clips. Me too. I don't like watch his episodes, but I don't know. Maybe it's all fake. But when I watch him, I'm like, oh, he's questioning really hard stuff that people don't like, and he's doing it in a really honest way about his own spiritual condition. Mm-hmm. That feels real. Like I feel like our detectors for identifying what's real are pretty good. Like people are. I feel like most people can pretty easily spot BS. When I look at that, I think, man, like, I think Theo Vaughn's probably real, and that's why he got like a huge platform, and that's why like people are, tuning in for conversations like this one, and I think that they just have this hunger for authenticity.
Yeah, I think so too, especially after what happened a couple months back when he went on Joe Rogan, and Joe like was just like,
oh, yeah.
He was really putting him down, and Joe had actually do an apology and was like, look, I wasn't talking bad about my friend, blah 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 blah, but when he started calling out Israel and stuff like that, he did. I think I do feel like he is kind of authentic, and he really does call out. I seen that interview with him and Kennedy, who's a character and a half too. That was pretty fun. I didn't see the whole thing. I actually might watch that whole one with him and Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, and because he's just a character in himself, and then have Theo Vaughn, but he called him out like, hey, what about this right here? This. Especially with the pushback on a lot of stuff. So a lot of people were kind of scared to say anything about Israel and stuff like that, and which I say it on my show all the time. Is like it's if you hear us say anything about Israel, it's not about the people. The people you hear the people are protesting over there too. They're like, we don't want to be our name drug in the mud because of what's going on. It's the government doing what they want to do, not what the people want to do. And kind of what's going on over here too. Yeah, we're gonna call out. It's, no doubt my views, I lean right. There's no doubt, but I'm no extremist, and I'm gonna call both sides. So call a spade a spade. It's gonna be, if they're doing wrong, and that's what I've, something I've tried to do the whole time I've been doing this is, that, if somebody's doing stupid stuff, say they're doing stupid stuff just because they're part of the red team or part of the blue team, and I hate seeing them people go like, well, I vote blue and no matter who. Or I'll vote red no matter who. I'm like, that's stupid. Like, look at who these people are. And that's how we get some of these stupid, like, how do we get this ignorant politician that we got right now? Oh, I see now that's because there's groups of people who just vote this one way no matter what. On both sides. There's stupid politicians on both sides out. Absolute.
Yeah, and I think it's just it's at the federal level, it's all the same. I mean, it's just two sides of the same coin, and a lot of this drama and controversy that we see is manufactured, and I struggle to believe that any of it's real based on the policy outcomes. So people can argue about everything that they want, but we still support war. We still subsidize pharmaceutical corporations and glyphosate production and like all of these things that are disadvantageous to us. None of that actually changed. Supporting Israel, paying for the war in Ukraine, like all this money flowing out of the United States. And you remember that like half the people in America aren't paying for taxes anyway, right? Like either they're too rich and they figure out how to avoid taxes, or they are like evading taxes, or they're poor enough they pay very, very little, right? So you only really have half the people in the U.S. paying taxes anyway, and that effectively means that like all of this money that's going overseas to Israel and Ukraine and all that stuff is coming from like, I mean, just really hardworking people that are having it siphoned away from them. And I feel like there are Congress people who've had a voice around these matters, like Massey. I mean, I hate that he's leaving. It kills me. But he stands up for that and says, you can't send all this money out of here to Israel or Ukraine or wherever. And this is what I mean is like none of that actually really changes like left or right. Like, you know, the Dems get in and they start wars. The Republicans are in, they start wars, right? Like the military industrial complex is running the show.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I looked it up a while back, and I was just curious. And just in my lifetime, I was born in '79. It's like how many years have we not been into any conflict? And amazingly, 1979 was the only year that we were not in some kind of conflict. So, for 46 years, you know, we've been some kind of every year we've been in some kind of conflict. You know, I pretty much, except for when I was a little baby that I don't remember, every other year that I've been alive, we've been in some kind of conflict or war, or you know, something with people dying, and we're using, you know, our militaries attacking somebody, or somebody's attacking us, or something's going on. You know, and it's just, it blew my mind. It's like, wow, like there's no moment, you know, even during the Reagan years, you know, everybody talks about the Reagan years, but, you know, like everybody just high on cocaine back then. They didn't give a crap. So, you know, stock market was high, cocaine was flowing. They were having fun and raising hell.
Life's good, baby.
It really is, you know, it's what you hear, you know, and then you turn around, you know, so it just kind of shows, like, you know, that's why I was like, I really don't think we really had a proper president since JFK got killed, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Carter might have been the closest that we've got since JFK. You know, you might have a good argument to make that Carter was probably like just useful, not actually like in charge. I would guess, but probably I would guess Carter was probably an honest guy. But JFK was the last one that didn't kiss that stupid wall. You know, they all kissed that wall. And I don't think, I might be wrong. Someone in the chat can fact check me. But I think JFK is the last president we've had that didn't go to Israel and kiss the wall.
Which is amazing. It's crazy to me. And then you hear all these politicians like, you know, and that's the reason Mondami is mayor of New York right now, because one of the reasons, because even though his policies are ridiculous, he was the one that actually was saying he would be there. Like they had all those, I don't know if he paid any attention to it or not, but they had all the candidates out in front of, you know, on the news, and they're all asking them questions like, what will you do? The first thing, you know, when you win to be a mayor of New York, what's the first thing you do? Every one of them said, I'm going to go to Israel. I'm going to Israel. Mondami's like, I'm going to go to the streets. Yeah, I swear on everything. Mondami was the only one that said, I'm going to the streets to see what I can do to help fix New York. Every other politician that was standing up there said first thing they were doing is going to Israel.
That's wild.
And it backfired on them.
Yeah.
It's like, now you got this crazy socialist that wants to buy up all the places and subsidize and just ridiculous policies that can never work, but it's because of the Israel first mentality of all these politicians, because that's who's paying them, and you see it. They see who's all the APAC. That's why JFK wanted to make it known as APAC as a lobbyist, but
Yeah.
he was unallowed before that could happen, and then it's amazingly it dropped, and people stopped talking about it afterwards.
Yeah, it pretty quickly was forgotten, wasn't it? Conveniently.
A little quinkydink, a little coincidence there.
Yeah. It's one of your coinkydinks. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, and seeing what they have done, and what they keep pushing back, and it's showing. But I kind of think, and I think that the time of the Israel point is, I think we're in a changing point of our politics and everything, and you see it. You see a lot of the APAC candidates getting booted out, and now you're looking at which, on the other side, I think we're going to have to be very careful. Especially, we got. I think JD Vance is going to be the next president in 28 because of who put him in the position. You got Peter Thiel, Sam Altman, all the PayPal mafia people.
Yeah.
And all this IT, all these stuff that's going on, all these flock cameras, all this stuff that's the new wave that's getting pushed in.
Yeah, he was a first-term senator, right? Like he was a junior senator, and then was handpicked for vice president. And why is that?
He was, because that was Peter Thiel's, boy. He brought him up. I think he, put him through like law school and all kinds of stuff. And, and then you turn around, and I know Peter Thiel and Sam Altman was like, "Hey, Trump, this is your guy right here. This is who we want." Places they put him in a position, he shouldn't be, where he's at for sure, without some kind of deal. But now you see all these Palantir, what they're using Palantir for right now. They're using it for the war.
Yeah.
They're using it to strike. And then with these flock cameras and everything else, and then all the, and not even get to the creepy stuff with Teal and the Antichrist, thinking
Isn't that weird?
He loves the Antichrist and of talking about the Antichrist, and now we find out that he got a secret group of like 200 people they're meeting, which a lot of
dialogue,
yes.
Yeah.
And that's, it's like the new Bilderberg, it's I think that's the I do think JD will be the next president unless something happens, because of, they're going to push it, because he's already going around. If you look, he's already going around even to the liberal medias. He was on The View and actually won, Behar over. She's like, "Oh, he is a nice guy," and he was, Bill Maher, and he's going all the liberal talking points and shows to show he's kind of a moderate, and to bring him in, because I think they're going to use that moderation, because a lot of the, socialist Democrat far left, a lot of the Democrats are going to come over and would vote for a more moderate because of what's going on. You've seen a lot of them do that at the last election, and I think we're going to see a lot more in 2028 because of just the crazy policies and stuff, but they're going to take advantage of that situation. I think. I don't know. I could be wrong.
That's probably right. I mean, I could see that. The dialogues society is interesting. I mean, I want to know who's on the invite list for dialogue that's not on Bilderberg, and who's on Bilderberg, and like all these secret societies, Skull and Bones, and I think about secret societies and realize like, oh, at some point someone just started their own. Like Peter Thiel is starting his own secret society, and then I think Oh, like I guess anyone could make their own secret society. So maybe like Ricky, we can make a secret society and
I mean, we can. We
start our own.
like anybody can, but
Make your own secret society if you want.
I do have the part of the leaked list. I did do some of my homework on that. So some of the tech finance billionaires that are, and I guess 1 trillionaire is on the list. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Siobhan Zillis, Eric Schmidt, Joe Lonsdale was a Palantir, Reid Hoffman, Aaron Hoffman, Greg Brockman, OpenAI, Sarah Bond, ex-Microsoft, Strauss Zelnick, Take-Two, Brian Johnson, Henry Kravitz, Howie Liu, his Airtable, parts of the Trump administration government is in it, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, Will Scharf, Jim O'Neill, Hallie Hoffman, DEA. Of course, you got politicians of good old Ted Cruz.
Not Booker. Surprising.
Yeah, especially not Ted Cruz. Cory Booker, Jim Himes, Governor Wes Moore of Maryland, Governor Jared Polis of Colorado, Julian Castro, Preet Bharara, I can't say that damn line. Mitch Daniels. You got Military International with, let's see, General Alexis Grinkwich of NATO, Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. You got Turkey Al Fazar out of Saudi, Tom Tugendhat of UK. And let's see, we got some of the media, of course. You got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Josh Brolin, Brett Stevens, Nick Thompson of Atlantic, Larry Summers, and many others that, kind of touch the list of,
World shapers.
World shapers, yeah.
Yeah.
Little pieces of media, military, tech.
Yeah. And they can manufacture the reality that they want, and agree on how to create the reality. I mean, when you have that much concentrated power. And I think that this is another area where the people who run these kinds of meetings like dialogue have realized that networking, coordination, teamwork, and consensus among disparate groups is how they obtain and control with power. And I feel like the people that are on the other side of it, who are against their goals as globalists, they're trying to destroy or control societies and basically siphon all of the best parts of society up towards the elite. I think that there's a good argument to be made that they're really good at like command and control, and people that are fighting against that kind of future are really disorganized. And I think that we're starting to see consolidation of disparate groups who realize like we're not each other's enemy. Like you see this right now, I think really heavily with like Christians and Muslims in the US, where in like post 9/11 world, there was a lot of like just dissension in those communities, right? Where they looked at each other in some ways as enemies, like going to war in the Middle East, fighting, in Muslim lands, right? Like there was, Muslim terrorists allegedly, right? And then people realized, oh, like that was all propaganda, and we were controlled in the way that we were made to think about a particular thing that made us go to war and made Halliburton a ton of money, and Darth Vader, Dick Cheney, like his goons made a ton of money, and they had to manufacture consensus to do that and then create a common enemy. And I feel like some of these communities that historically were at odds with one another, and the biggest two people groups in the United States are Christians and Muslims, and I like in terms of like total representation by population, and are now like starting to realize that, oh, we're not each other's enemies. We are not, there's cultural differences and you want to agree on some things and there are flashpoints around that, but like they understand that like we're not actually enemies and who is the enemy and who's trying to actually subject us to the version of the future that they want that's not advantageous to us. That's exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hope Dick Cheney burning in hell, but I was thinking
He's
about it earlier.
cooking down there. I tell you that much, man.
He better be.
He's cooking.
He better be. That's all I'll say. But yeah, it's. I was thinking about that what you were saying earlier, and it popped in my head. Like talking about building 7, thinking about Dick Cheney made me think about building 7 again. And the whole 9/11 situation. And one things I like having when people start pulling out, asking, questions about 9/11, and I was like, well, look, which always last few years I've done on 9/11, right around 9/11, we do a 9/11 show, and I try to pull out a lot of information and stuff like that. And my favorite one I've been doing is like Building 6. Have you looked into Building 6?
No. Tell me about Building 6.
Like I said, it's my favorite because a lot of people are just like, like you just did. Like, wait a minute, which it was a whole bunch of buildings there. You never had a Building 1 and Building 2, and of course the Twin Towers, and you had Building 7. But if you go look on, you can find pictures of it with ease. I think even on Wikipedia and stuff, and you can see the devastation point where you can see Building 7 collapse. You can see 1 and 2, the Twin Towers collapse. But if you look at Building 6, there's a big hole blown in the center of it. So they tried to blow, like was supposed to collapse, but it didn't.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's on my other computer. I'll say I got the pictures, but it's on my other computer. I had to upgrade my computer. Let's see.
6 World Trade Center was also destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great overhead picture of it. Let's see if I can find it. I got it on my other computer. I wish I never would have thought about it going to be talking about 9/11 today, but should have known. Here we go. Here it is. Like I said, it's not hard to find whatsoever.
No way. So it's effectively destroyed. It's not collapsed into its own footprint, but
Yeah, that's Building 7, and this right here between 1 and 7 is Building 6 with a big hole.
that's wild.
Where'd it go? It hit it. Oh, there it is. Let me do it this way. Open up a new tab. There we go.
What was in there?
There we go. Yeah. So yeah, there's. Why is there a big monster? Everything else is crumbled and rumble. Why is there a big dark hole in the center of Building 6?
There's down on the ground shots I found on Reddit. I'm assuming it's the same building. And an overhead shot. And the overhead shot shows that thing just with a huge gaping hole in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the customs house.
Yeah. It's like, okay, what happened there? Like, nobody talks about Building 6. Like, I've only heard a few people, like, in all the hundreds and probably thousands of hours of podcasts and listening to shows and stuff, right? Thousands now. I've only heard a few handful actually talk about, like, Building 6, and that's the one that, like I said, that's to me is absolutely smoking gun. Building 7 absolutely is too. Nothing hit it. Had a few office fires. The fires went out,
Right.
and they were gone. And then all of a sudden it collapsed on itself, free fall. That's why you have all them architects are still trying to. And the other thing on that is always, 9/11 is what got me down the rabbit hole of digging and looking, like really start looking. And it was like, then they turned around and took all the steel. Instead of doing an investigation and see why did these buildings fall, they just put everything on boats and shipped it to China to recycle.
Isn't that crazy? They just got rid of it.
They just got rid of it. Well, we don't want it to affect you know, the people. The sooner we can clean it up, the sooner people can heal. And I see that, but we need to understand how in the hell these buildings fell down at free fall rate. The only way, there was a plane hit a building in China not just the other day, and it didn't fall. The only time in history that buildings fell from a fire, there was a skyscraper in Russia that it burnt for like I think it was Russia. It was burnt like 3 or 4 days on fire, just horrendous fire, and it never collapsed. Like, what,
Yeah, it's a steel structure. It was built to withstand that.
It was built to withstand an airplane.
It was designed to withstand that. And yeah, for me, man, it is for sure Building 7. Building 7 is, I can't believe that everyone isn't convinced by Building 7. Yeah, I mean, you look at how quickly they clean this stuff up. Like, there was probably thermite all over those steel columns, right? Something had to chemically destroy those steel beams.
Yeah. They, the firefighters, sadly, like all the whistleblowers and the firefighters that said anything about it or anybody was down there or passed away now, from whatever reason. But there's videos. I got videos on saved, and they were talking about it like it's like a refinery, molten lava flowing down these channels, and jet fuel don't get that hot. And the other thing, jet fuel don't, and diesel don't either. They even had diesel generators. Diesel don't get that hot. And one of the things, like the explosion, most of the jet fuel burned up in the initial explosion. It's just like when you throw gasoline on a fire, it burns all that gas up really fast, and then it dies down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the same thing. When that initial explosion, when it blew out, that was most of the fuel right there.
Well, you can go back and watch the videos of all the firefighters who talk about, oh, we heard this explosion, and we heard this explosion, and it's not one firefighter, it's not two firefighters, it's like a lot of them that were interviewed talking about explosions that they heard, and other first responders, I think police as well, and then you have the actual squibs coming out of the side of the building during demolition, where you can see the small explosions that were, I mean, I'm not a demolitions expert, but the argument is that those small explosions were what was actually destroying the steel. And so the steel had to be explosively severed at key points for it to collapse down, right? So you can see these squibs that are pushing out the sides that explode in a timed order. And you can watch it happening. You can watch it being demolished, and people are like, no way. And I think this goes back to the conversation earlier about how people they can't emotionally arrive there.
No, they don't want to think that, hey, the possibilities that happen, like that it could even feasible. But if you look back in history, like I said, you watch it. I think it was building 2 actually leaned and then squared back up and went down. So the top of it actually, if you watch, it was either building 1 or 2, but if you watch the initial explosions, you watch it, when it starts coming down, it leans for a second, and then it corrects itself, and it goes straight down. And that's physically, that's impossible without demolition and doing like that, But like I said, people aren't ready to, take that, effect and say, hey, this is what's going on, or, talking about the dancing Israelis on top of the rooftop, or the, or the truck they found on the bridge that had all explosives in it too, that all that, all that went hush hush really fast. It was on for 2 seconds and then gone.
Right. Yeah, the dancing Israelis get brought up, and it really makes me wonder about the Israel connection to 9/11. I mean, they certainly were motivated to have us go to war with both Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, that's in their best interest, right? What interest is it for the United States to be at war in the Middle East for 20 years? Like, that didn't help us. That didn't do anything for us. It didn't make America safer. It probably made America less safe because there was a million Iraqis and Afghanis, or maybe something like a million of civilian casualties in that war. Which, like, dude, if you're a kid and you watch your dad die to some American bomb that had nothing to do with this, I would grow up and I'd be a terrorist. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would radicalize me as a young person. I would grow up and be like, I watched my dad die from that American bomb, and like I didn't have a father growing up or whatever, right? Like, not even a war fighter, just a civilian, just a farmer or storekeeper or whatever. And that happened all the time. And so I think there's a good argument to be made that maybe the world now is less safe because of 2 decades of wars of aggression in places that Israel probably pushed us into.
And I mean, on the other side, part of it, we actually trained some of the, ISIS members too. We had Clinton come out and say that, we were sending sending weapons and stuff to ISIS. They're like, well, that's the good ISIS. That's not the ones on our side. And like, oh, come on, and I know I've talked to soldiers and stuff talking about like Afghanistan, and that was one of the things that initially got me asking questions, truly, because I remember after 9/11, like I said, 9/11 was like the key turning point in my life. I started like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And because they went in Iraq. I'm like, but the people supposedly, Bin Laden and all them, supposedly are Afghanistan, and what are we doing in Iraq? And I remember asking that question, and people was like, well, it don't matter. It don't matter. Whatever it is, we can level the whole Middle East. It don't matter. Whatever. It's just to that point. Like of course, they were angry with what happened, and they should have been angry, but it was
They saw it all as one country.
Yeah, they saw the whole Middle East as one country, except for one small little portion of it, of course,
Right,
but,
of course. Yeah.
But it was, and I was like, it don't make sense. And then, then I talked to soldiers afterwards and stuff, and they're talking about Afghanistan and how I find out later that that we really, one of the reasons we went over there to Afghanistan was to protect the poppy fields. And there were soldiers protecting the poppy fields because the terrorist groups there were burning them. And that was our CIA money. And we could not have them burning our fields. So we had to go over there and protect the poppy fields.
Yeah. We go there and not only protect the poppy fields, but protect the heroin trade.
Yes, they're
right. Yeah. Yeah, I think when you talk to people who were in the global war on terror and they were soldiers or Marines or SEALs or Navy or whatever their role was in the military, I've had conversations with people who initially were so reluctant to this and eventually came around to it, but then it throws into light their entire service over there. And I take the position that their service was still very noble, that even if the U.S.'s political aims and interests in the region were not noble, the motivations of the men and women that served over there were highly noble. They wanted to go and make America safer is what they were believing, and they were propagandized by the people who were able to convince the world that this is a noble and justice, holy war. I think even Bush went as far as to use that term. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that's a very powerful propaganda machine, and none of us are immune to it, right? Like, we get propagandized all the time. So I think about those soldiers that made these decisions as 18, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds that decided to go overseas and serve their country. And I still believe strongly that despite the war being a complete lie, the service people, their actions were noble.
Absolutely, and they had the right heart into it, and they were, it's just like World War II and stuff. Like all them soldiers, here was kids lying about their age so they could, enlist because they, deep in their soul, were like, hey, this is the right thing to do. We need to
Right.
fight for freedom. And that, you know, and the sad thing is, them soldiers came back over here and barely get any help, or, and so many of them commit suicide and stuff. And I think about it, like, man, I'm the age I would have been over there.
Yeah.
I mean, and the only reason I didn't go military, like my family is military. The only reason I didn't go into the military was my grandfather, who was, Army Ranger. He had a tour in Korea. He had 2 tours in Vietnam. Got Purple Hearts. Got 2 Purple Hearts for his troubles.
Really?
And yeah, he got sprayed with Agent Orange, which absolutely destroyed him. Like gave him emphysema and all kind of medical problems. And but he actually got out of the military and went back and worked for the military as a civvy afterwards. And like he was, military through and through for most of his life. But when it was about my age, it started. Hey, people were calling me like, hey, you need to, especially my family background, come on. And I had people coming to my house and knocking on the door and trying to come get me to join up. And he told me, he's like, no, Ricky, don't do it. And I mean, I think was one of the reasons because how he was treated. And a month after he passed away, he got my grandma got a phone call talking about, well, the surgery's approved now. He can have the surgery. And she cussed him out royally because he had already passed, And I'm sitting there, I thought about that sometimes, like, man, that was one of them big life moments, because if I'd gone over there, who knows, where I'd be right now, or if I'd still be here, it's, sadly.
Yeah. How old were you during 9/11?
That's 2001, so I was born in 79, so I was 22.
Yeah. So I was 15. And I think that, like, I mean, either one of us could have ended up. I got plenty of friends that have been over there,
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was going on when you turned old enough for sure that you could have, when you turned 18, it was for sure wide open.
Yeah.
Stuff going on over there.
That was the push, the big push. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I think that all these changes that we've seen in the U.S. political system, that since then have been in some ways drastic, and in some ways it's the status quo. I think these changes that we see in the political system around Israel's control over U.S. foreign policy are really starting to shape front and center. I think that a candidate going into 2028 that takes AIPAC money, they're probably radioactive. So I think that that's probably going to be likely. We're starting to see that now at midterms,
Yeah, you've seen a lot of midterms. You've seen a lot of the AIPAC candidates actually, or you're seeing the other side, like you were talking about Massey, they saw, it was very visible how much money AIPAC spent to get Massey out.
Yeah.
And,
like it was like 30 million or 40. It was some crazy number.
Yeah, it's an insane number. And I was actually I seen, my brain's shutting down now. What you call it? He's pretty much dead now.
Oh, McConnell?
Yeah, McConnell, which I did see that with McConnell, if he dies, it could open up an opportunity for Massey to take his spot. I did see somebody that there's a rumbling about that. So there was
really
one of the talks is why they're keeping him. One of the rumors, I'll say it that way. One of the rumors is that they're keeping him as a vegetable, like he's been dead. But which that's an interesting story about him. And his McConnell's wife went back to China and talked to like the vice president of China, or somebody like high up in China, was the first thing she did as soon as she got back over there. And weird stuff, He went in the hospital, and like 3 weeks later, then we actually heard anything really about it. Like I said, I think well, I've heard rumblings and people are conspiracy theories, I guess you'd say, on it, is that, they're trying to keep him alive because they don't want Massey to take his spot. They worked so hard to get him out, and now that possibility he could slide right back in.
I always forget that Mitch McConnell is a senator from Kentucky. I don't know why I forget his state. I completely forgot about that. So in theory, if Massey were to become a senator, that's his path in, which is, that's interesting. I wonder, like, who they would position to run against him.
Be interesting. It'll be an interesting situation for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Are they gonna leave that man a vegetable the rest of the year? I don't know.
I saw like a leaked photo. I don't know if it's AI or not, but I looked at it and he looks like he's pretty much done.
Yeah. Well, so did Jimmy Carter when they brought him out to say he come out and voted too.
That's true. That's a good point.
That poor man.
That poor guy.
God bless his soul. Like I said, I think Jimmy he had good intentions, like especially like all the houses he built and did all that stuff. And man, they drug that poor man out in the middle, in the heat, looking like a corpse. No dignity.
Yeah.
Look, Jimmy voted. You should vote.
Just rolled him out like
nothing. He don't even know where he's at. Poor man.
Yeah. Lights are off, man.
Yeah, man, that was terrible. That was. Why would you do that to that man?
Roll him out like he's like on death's door. He's like his skin's turning white. Yeah.
It was. It's just no class.
No class. Yeah. Yeah, I think Carter probably was an honest person. Yeah, I think he was probably honest. I think he just wasn't very effective, and so that really makes you reevaluate, like, okay, even before Kennedy wasn't under some kind of control, and how much was Kennedy controlled. But I think that we saw a coup that day, that he was killed. People don't think there's a coup in American history, but I think that was probably the best way to describe that, where there was a power structure from within that killed Kennedy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was a multifaceted right there. He had some enemies, especially since he stopped from doing that false flag for Cuba, because they were all gung ho wanting to do that. And, funny, looks like they're about to do it anyway now. All these years later, they're going to take over Cuba.
Yeah, Cuba.
It's just a wild situation. They're pushing this whole narrative. They're going to push, the whole North America eventually is going to be United States. What it looks like, they took Venezuela, Cuba, Greenland. Just a few more left there. It's not not too much more. I did see on a random thought, talking about presidents and stuff. I did see where I had to put my thoughts together. I saw a theory that Richard Nixon was going to be a whistleblower, and then they got him all caught up with the Watergate stuff, and where he couldn't, and made him step down and stuff. But he was actually going to, speak out on some stuff. That was one of the reasons why all that shit went down the way it did.
Yeah.
Which that wouldn't surprise me, though,
Yeah. At this point, not much will surprise me.
Mm-mm.
But I'm optimistic about the future. I think that despite all these things about U.S. history that are concealed and buried, and I think that I'm very optimistic about the future. I think that this is a special time to be alive. We're in revolutionary times. We've been able to be alive at a time when these things are really coming to a head, where there is good and evil, and there's truth seekers and secret keepers. And I think that's an exciting place to be, because we can be at the front and center of shaping the future of this country that we want it to be. I mean, people didn't know about these things for years, and now they're able to talk about them openly and without fear. And mostly, I mean, not entirely, but generally without fear. And in the next 10, 20, 30 years, can it look very, very different in a positive way? I think that it can. And I think that there's a lot to fight against, with very organized power structures, but they're afraid of the people. Like, they're terrified of the people. We outnumber them. And that's like the beauty of democracy, is you outnumber your king and you outnumber your representative. And that's the beauty of it, right? And so I think that the number of people that are waking up to this whole secret U.S. history and the corruption and all these things that we're talking about are no longer okay to just let that be the future.
I can see that. The one thing that does concern me right now on that is, I think, I've talked to a lot of people over the years, over the last 25, whatever, like in forums and all kinds of stuff at one point or another. And when the general sense is like, don't, even if I'm they were like, even I'm a cop, I'm this, don't underestimate my patriotism. I'm not going to, go against the American people. But now we got the potential merger of the Israeli and United States military together, and that has me concerned. Like, that might be because they don't care. Like, they don't have that patriotism. They don't have that, hey, I'm doing stuff to my, my families or friends or whatever. They don't have that mentality.
Right.
We would, anybody that would be American soldiers or American police or American anything like that. But I say I still do have some hope. We got to get through. If we can get past this 2030 agenda and maybe push back on some of this and keep some of this stuff from happening, I think we have a chance. We always got a chance. Like you said, we got the people. We got the. If they do anything, it's going to have to be slow. I don't see them doing anything really fast, because it's one of the things that, like, American people, we got the people, we got the we got the weapons. There's a lot of people with a lot of stuff, a lot of pew-pew.
A lot of guns,
yeah,
especially in the South.
Especially in the South, there's always a joke, hey, you're gonna come, and yeah. Especially in the South, there's some of them that've been dreaming about this their whole life, like ready, hoping shit hits the fan,
Yeah, is it time? I got a gun safe over here full of guns.
They got gun containers buried under the ground, just 40 foots or rooms or just amazing stuff, with all kinds of stuff and ammo and everything ready to go, and so it's one of them things, like, there's so many people, it would be hard, I seen a graph the other day, like how many guns per 100 people, whatever, per person, what it was, like per nation, it went up, and of course the United States was just skyrocketed above everybody, how many per
capita.
Yeah, and absolutely, and it's like, so I don't think they would have to do it very slowly, like, integrate, so, but maybe we can, as more information gets out, more people waking up, more people can get out and make a difference, and
I think that just having conversations like this where people can, I learned about this kind of thing on the internet. Like, this is where I got information about all the topics that we talked about, like being on the internet early 2000s, I guess, right? Like, growing up with this, you're not going to get this on the CBS News. You're going to get it from the internet, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, the internet has this stabilizing effect for democracy to surface truth, and it's had the most powerful form of that is just raw long form content like this, and like learning about all these things about Tower 7 and about, some of these things on the internet was how my worldview has been largely shaped since I was young, right? It's not going to be in the history books. It's going to be discovered through research and really trying to surface what you believe is true. And more and more people have access to that, both in the U.S. and worldwide. Like everyone has a smartphone in their pocket. Everyone has access to the internet in some way. So that when it'll get scary is when that gets shut down. Like when the normal person can't have access to the power of the internet anymore, like off of, right there in your pocket. When that gets closed off, that's when it's scary. Because you look at the Arab Spring, they were coordinating with each other over Twitter for the Arab Spring. In the early days of Twitter, right? And they were able to overthrow whole countries through the power of the collective action. What happens when the infrastructure, links it to a digital ID that you have and turns off your cell phone because, Ricky, you might be a revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the other thing. You see that, you see it over. I've talked about it a bunch of times on the show, and you see what's going on in China. You see all them poor people just sleeping in the streets because they're, they've done something wrong and whatever, and their credit score is low. So
yeah,
they got nowhere to go. And now you see the 15-minute cities. Even Oxford in England, they got one going right now.
Oh, really? That's the first one?
Yeah. It's so stupid. Like, you got access. They're like, well, you get so many passes a year to leave the area, and then you get other people get so many passes to get in there, and it's jacked up. It really is, and that's just the beginning. And like I warn people, I was like, hey, I said I have hope, but that's one of the things we need to stop that. If it tries to come over here, something's got to give on that, because we don't. But you see, like a lot of these 15-minute cities too. A lot of them. That's the ones we had all the natural disasters happen.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Quotations off for life, but for real, like that's if you look into what cities that have proposed 15-minute cities, what cities have had natural fires and disasters happen recently, and they're laying on top of each other, and a lot of them are real close, or the same ones, verbatim, and that's that's what their goal is. That way, okay, yeah, we get this social media, get all this stuff, but if they can keep us all in this little box, then they can control.
Yeah, and especially if they have access to your controlling your money.
Mm-hmm. Like they did in Canada. We've seen that in Canada, where all them protesters and truckers and stuff, and they locked them out of their accounts. So they're showing their hand. Other nations have showed their hand and showing what the potential is. Which Canada's, I don't know. Canada used to be. You always talk about Canada as a nice place, and but now it's turned into a shithole.
Yeah,
they've killed over 100,000 of their own people with the maid.
Right.
Yeah, help suicide situation
since COVID, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen that it was over 100,000 now. It's like, well, if you're sick, well, let's if you're sick, let's end you. And I showed a video a while back, where this poor man and his wife was like, he was a U.S. citizen. His wife was Canadian. They were living up in Canada, and he had to, and they're like, she's done. She's, basically she's going to die, or we can help her die or whatever. And he brought her back over in the States, and she got better. And then she went back over there, and we went back to Canada because that's where they, lived. And then she got sick again, and they did it again. And he had to keep bringing her back to the United States where she can get better. And finally they were able to fast track, visas and move down here, and so she could be here. And he couldn't have to leave his wife up there in Canada where, she was going to die. You know, it's like there's a bunch of them like that. There's a lot of people, you know, they feed in their heads that they have no hope and letting them in themselves early. You know, it's like it's a sad situation when you see that.
Yeah.
Even them fat bastards up in the office and politicians and you're not doing that to your family,
Right.
guaranteed.
Right.
But you're trying to do it to other people.
Which is crazy to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, this conversation's been awesome. I have enjoyed this a great deal. I gotta get up early and train, but
I
this has
understand.
been a super fun conversation. I'm surprised we hadn't done this before now. Like, not be on the show, but just like have these conversations the times that I've seen you. But I guess I only run into you at jiu-jitsu tournaments, so it's cool to be on the same page about a lot of these concepts and ideas.
Absolutely, yeah. It's funny like people, it's you had that connection, and then all of a sudden you start talking
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we're on the same wavelength there. That's pretty cool. And yeah, if you ever want to come back and talk some more, you're always welcome. And if you want to grab some food someday in town or something,
Yeah.
we should talk too.
Yeah, man. Or that or roll. Where do you usually training right now?
I'm right now. I just at my gym most of the time. I'm in try to like Tuesdays, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then Wednesdays I can't train nowhere because I'm doing this, and so at night. But like this week I've been on vacation, so I went to Allen Shades Monday
Cool.
and rolled with them, and then yesterday I went out there and with Dream and rolled with them with a bunch of their comp team out there, the LDMA comp team. So which we talked about a little bit beforehand. It's like, of course, everybody, like I said, had over 20 pounds on me plus, and the next smallest person had 20 pounds on me, and I think it went up from there to over 120 pounds. I think the biggest guy I roll with,
God, that's
but you know me, I'm not scared to roll with anybody.
right.
I ain't never been scared to roll with anybody. I
I
don't
ain't
care how
never
big
been
they are.
scared. Yeah, I mean, and you've got to the point in your jiu-jitsu that you just know how to roll with big people.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them things like absolute. I try to tell my guys that and stuff like that. And they're like, and you watch them like fall out in pressure, and I'm like, you got to be off your back, And I was sitting there and I was sitting on my side. I had my post behind me, and I was like, he was pushing, and and I wasn't moving. And I'm like, they reached for my foot, and I still kind of shimmied out, and I couldn't get me flat. I wouldn't let them get me flat. I was like, yeah, I can't handle 120 pounds on my chest, flat on my back, and putting pressure there. I can't handle that either. But I'm on my side a little bit, and uncomfortable for a second. It'd be all right. I'll move. Like I said, I've been doing this so long, and you know how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember how great of like you had a very difficult to manage turtle that like I was like, how is he this good at this? How is he this good at like preventing me from attacking until he's like, maybe we were scrambling and you're recovering for a second, right? And then all of a sudden, like you're out of it and you've re-guarded or whatever. And I was like, you're like one of the best at like managing your pace in that way that I've rolled with, because the way you're able to like sort of like hang out and turtle for a second and have like no danger to you. Like you do great at that.
It just took me forever, like just to learn like patience and like, okay, don't be scared or whatever. I had like one of the heavyweights. He was about 250 something like that on my back last night. And he was trying to choke me, whatever, and like, no, that's not happening. But I was able to defend. And I know one time he didn't say nothing, but I seen him kind of look over my shoulder at me, and was like, and you could tell like in his look, his face was like, what the hell? What? I got 100 pounds on this guy. How can I not just, 'cause he went trying to even muscle me, trying to push across there. I'm like, no, you're still not doing that. I'm
Yeah.
defending everything, and I just, plus I'm just hard at it, But yeah, I've been, but yeah, it was fun. It's been fun. I'm gonna try to train tomorrow. I'm not sure where I'm gonna train tomorrow. I don't know. I'm gonna find somewhere to go train tomorrow, I guess. weigh-ins are Friday for my match. So
Well, you're gonna do great, man. Is it streaming?
yeah, it's gonna be streaming on the. I'm not sure exactly where. I'll make sure the link gets out on Facebook and stuff like that. And I got spread it on Discord. I know a lot of the people in the chat and other friends and stuff on Discord, and they wanna watch too. So I got a little pressure on my mom and my dad's gonna be there, and I got everybody on
Yeah.
Discord and all the the podcast community wants to watch me do this. I'm like, oh hell, I got a lot of damn people watch me this time. So
I'm gonna watch you, bro. I'm gonna watch you. What time is the? Let's see. It's Saturday.
it starts at 6.
Okay, making a
And
note here.
yeah, I got to bring out my robe one more time. It's
Oh, I forgot the Ricky route.
yeah, you got to have the robe, man.
I forgot about that. Dude, that thing is so dope on you.
Yeah, it's fun. Everybody just gets a kick out of it. One side, I wish I never started it because, everybody expects me to do it every time. But the other side is just like, well, that's my niche. That's my fun part, And when I tell everybody, I was like, I'll be 47 this month. I'm here to have fun, I'm here to win, and I'm here to compete and do my best, as always. But at the end of the day, I'm here to have fun and put on a show. So
I'm gonna watch. I'm excited for it, man. You're gonna do great. I know you're gonna do great. It's summits are fun, and you're gonna, I'm sure, put on a show.
oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, this was a delight. Super cool talking with you, and I'm looking forward to watching your fight on Saturday, man.
Awesome. I know that your chat has dropped sweets. Michael Strange called sweets the sweet spot. She dropped a link, I know, several times for your website. So y'all check out Ryan's website. He also has opportunities to, for the money, for whistleblowers, or how is it on the money part?
Yeah, so we have a reward pool for proof of life for Epstein, where we have put out a campaign to create an incentive for people to come forward and tell us what they know. So what we want is the ideal outcome is we create a big enough reward pool that people put enough money into the reward pool, and think about it like GoFundMe for truth, where when enough goes in, someone comes forward and says, hey, I can prove that he left that cell alive because they were his doctor or surgeon or plastic surgeon or driver or housekeeper or security. It's logistically complex to hide someone, and that's what had to have been done. And I think that a reward pool creates broken trust circles because people are incentivized to betray someone. Right? That's the value of it. It becomes expensive to keep quiet. So that's the reward pool, and even putting in $1, we're very grateful for.
Awesome. Yeah, it's on the website, so y'all check that out. I saw you post on Facebook. You had a pretty good substantial donation the other day, so
Yeah, dude, someone put in $10,000, which is amazing. Just people believe in it, and so we're up to $55,000 and climbing.
That's awesome. Yeah, y'all check it out. We just showed a little glimpse of it. Like I said, if you go down there for the evidence, you can click on there and it shows the sources. Everything's open, so you can see exactly, where they get the information, where it come from. It's not just, Ryan and his crew did not just pull it out of their ass, basically.
Yeah.
They really worked really hard to, find what it is and make sure this is what needs to be put out and stuff. So, man, I appreciate you being here, man. I really do, and I knew this was going to be a fun one. I really did. I was looking forward to it. I've been going on other shows and other panels, and like, y'all got to come Wednesday. Please come Wednesday. I've been everywhere I go. So, and it looks like people listen. So there's a bunch of
They
people.
did. Yeah.
So it's awesome, man. But I appreciate you, man.
Well, of course, man. And yeah, you'll do great. And look forward to talking to you again sometime.
Yes, sir, man. Take care.
All right. See ya.
All right. Yeah, I won't be going live stream this Karen. I've seen you say something about me live streaming my event. I will I will be doing. I will try to get the link out. I'll share it on my Twitter, I think, and Discord. I'll try to share it at all the places I can try to get it out. Of course, I'll be on Facebook. The Facebook page will have it. And make sure whatever link I share is the one, because there's going to be the bad thing about MMA promotions right now, even all the way up to UFC. There's a lot of fake ones that will take your money and take your information and stuff. So if it says it's primal but I don't drop the link, whatever, probably don't click on it. So but I would like to say I appreciate y'all being here and everything. I don't know if I have any bunch of feel good videos or not. I saved a few things just in case. You know how things are. Like, if something happened, he couldn't be here. But I was kind of like, man, he's gonna be here no matter what. Yeah, I really don't have much. I don't have anything really to save. But honestly, I appreciate y'all. I couldn't really say hi or answer a lot of the questions because I won't lie, I was trying to focus on what he was saying, and my squirrel brain, if I started focusing on some of the stuff in the chat, because y'all were rolling, and I just went, and my train of thought would have been gone. But I appreciate y'all. Michael Strange, let's see, let me do some shout outs real quick. Michael Strange, appreciate it. Matt Sal, Sweets, dropping links like hotcakes out there. Lily was here. Charlie Rose, Mr. James of Salcedo Paranormal. Brother Days, Waffle House, it's 3 in the morning over there and he's listening. Appreciate you. Jen, Arcane Observer, much love. Let's see who else on the YouTube, and then we'll go Golden Side. Appreciate you being here. The Real Watt Life. Appreciate you being here, Watt. Of course, Indy was here earlier. Well, she still is or not. Appreciate you being here and popping in. We got, let's see, we go right at the beginning here. Wow, we got Skunk Hollow, Jason Barker, Mike the Algorithm, of course, Sweets was over here on this side. I know Miss Karen was on, Carpenter was on this side. There she is. Nostradamus, Merlin. Let's see. I'm missing some. And Sweet's deleting her own messages. That was pretty funny. I seen that pop up earlier. But Ghost Star was here. But if I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of scrolling real quick. Appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like and subscribe for the lurkers in the background. I haven't even looked to see what kind of Rumble Studio. Hey, we got a pretty good group on Rumble hiding in the background. Make sure you like and subscribe. We got some day shows coming up. Wait, I keep saying that every damn week, but it is. It's coming. We got lots more content. We got some. I got another great guest on the way. I need to check my email, see if she emailed me back. I got a great guest on the way soon. So I know you will enjoy her when she comes on. No, she has not emailed me back. So, but when she emails me back, we'll get it. We'll get that. I got some more ghost hunters coming. Maybe a couple different ones of that, different ghost hunting crews and stuff like that. I got some more of that for Sunday show with myself and James. We're going to continue growing that and having fun. And if for one of y'all, I wouldn't be here. It really is. I mean, I'll make it make it awesome. And like I said, if y'all follow the Facebook and all that kind of stuff that's in the Sweets drop the link tree so you can get all my little links. We're gonna have. I'll try to make sure. I'll try to share it everywhere I can. As soon as I get the link for the fights, it's gonna be a lot of great MMA fights too. And it's gonna be some amazing fights on there. I promise you that. And you get to hear my voice after I'm done doing what I do in the ring. I'm gonna come back out and I get to do commentating. So you get to hear my voice the rest of the night. Call MMA fights. So it'll be a whole different little thing. We're gonna have fun. I try to have fun no matter what. So appreciate y'all. Much love. And let me hit the old outro and we'll get out of here. Y'all be good.
Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I sit down with Big Brother. Don't like those RFIDs. Got the blues about my freedom. Got the blues about tyranny. I got the blues about my freedom. Got the blues about tyranny. I sat down with Big Brother and the national ID. Don't want a chip in my wallet, chip in my car. And if I want to travel, it's nobody's business how far. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I said shame on Big Brother, always tracking and tracing me. Don't want a chip in my mother, chip in my wife, a chip in my babies. Stay out of our life. Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I sat down with Big Brother, no more slavery. Play it for me, baby. Now, do you want a chip in your forehead, a chip in your arm, always tweaking your brain and causing you harm? Don't want no shackles. Don't want no shackles on me. I sit down with Big Brother in the good old USA. I sat down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother. Don't want a spy chip in me. Everybody. I said down with Big Brother. 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 It's all about liberty.